Urgent Raiders fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Raiders focus on best player available. Get all-time steal in NFL mock draft. In this latest mock draft for the Las Vegas Raiders, we focus on best player available and work on building up a talented roster. We are only weeks away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and the smokescreens are in full force around the league. The Las Vegas Raiders have been busy interviewing their top prospects and are getting closer to finalizing their draft board. Just Blog Baby is doing the same as we continue to pump out draft content and mocks for your enjoyment. In this edition, we take another best player available approach to the mock, and the only rule is no doubling up on positions. Let's jump right in. 6. Travis Hunter, CB Colorado. We were just as surprised as you are to see Travis Hunter available with the number 6 pick, but that is how this particular mock draft shook out. This is a rare best player available pick that also fills a need, considering the Raiders don't have a true number 1 cornerback on the roster. Hunter famously played wide receiver and cornerback at an incredibly high level in college, but he appears to be entering the draft as a corner. That is where we expect the Raiders to use him. Hunter did not participate in the NFL Combine and did not go through the usual drills at his pro day. We don't know his 40 time, but that doesn't matter. We have seen him excel at 2 positions at the college level, and he always looks like the fastest man on the field. The Raiders have a long history of drafting or acquiring Heisman winners, and this pick would be a great way to honor the legacy of Al Davis and bring in a generational talent. Hunter can step in immediately as CB1 in Las Vegas and will bring some playmaking ability to the defense. He is a difference maker anytime he gets near the ball. 37. Tyleik Williams, DT, Ohio State. We are only in round 2 and we already have 2 picks that fill a need and fit the best player available philosophy. On the surface, it may seem strange that defensive tackle is a need considering the presence of Adam Butler and Christian Wilkins on the roster, but there is not much depth beyond those 2 studs. Wilkins is also coming off a season-ending injury, so we need a contingency plan for him. That contingency plan comes in the form of Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, who is the epitome of the modern defensive tackle. Williams stands at 6'3" and 334 pounds and is an elite athlete, which is why was number 66 on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list. Williams is a legitimate 3-down defensive lineman and brings explosiveness and versatility to the position. It wouldn't surprise if he won the starting job alongside Wilkins in training camp. A dominant defensive line covers up a lot of issues on the defense, and drafting Williams is a great way to continue building that unit. 68. Aronte Ursery, OT, Minnesota. Building a strong offensive line covers up a lot of issues on offense in the same way a DL does on defense. The Raiders' offensive line is a tad in flux, as we know the competition for 4 out of the 5 positions will be open, with Colton Miller holding down his LT spot. In the spirit of competition and taking the best player available, we select Aronte Ursery out of Minnesota to bring some more toughness to this unit. Ursery measures in at 66 and 331 pounds and was one of the stars of the Combine with a 5.01 40-yard dash and 190-inch broad jump, which are incredible for a man his size. The Missouri native plays the game with incredible power and a mean streak that allows him to finish blocks with a flourish. He has a tendency to play too high at times, but is so new to the game that we expect that to get coached up. Ursery only. Started playing football his junior year of high school and took some time to develop into the player he is today. We would expect him to come in and push DJ Glaze for that starting RT spot immediately before taking over at LT a few years down. The line, 108. Jonas Sanker, Virginia safety, is not an immediate need for the Raiders considering their free agency activity, but it is a long-term one as all the players at the position are on short deals. So with the 108th pick, we grab a versatile deeps safety in Jonas Sanker out of Virginia. Sanker is well built at 60 and 206 pounds and ran a solid 4.4840 at the Combine. Scouts rave about his mental processing ability and advanced understanding of offenses that allow him to stay a step ahead. He is a great deep-leading safety that is known for making plays on the ball and forcing turnovers. The Virginia star is not the fastest player in the world, and that lack of deep speed can leave him exposed at times. He makes up for it with his mental sharpness, but that won't bail him out on every rep. His lack of size is a concern as well, but he also makes up for that with a hard-nosed and physical approach to the game of football. 143, Quinn Ewers, QB Texas. The Raiders announced the signing and extension of quarterback Geno Smith, who is now expected to lead the Silver and Black for at least the next 2 years. Signing Smith allows the Raiders to take their time finding a quarterback for the future, and we use a mid-round pick on a development prospect in Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Ewers is undersized at 6'2" and 214 pounds, but he makes up for it with grit and tenacity that he showed against elite opponents in the SEC. He led the Longhorns to 2 college football playoff appearances and was a drive away from leading them to the title game in 2024. His numbers are not eye-popping, with around 7,000 yards, 53 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions over his last 2 seasons, but he is a smart and accurate QB that makes the most of his physical ability. At this point in the draft, it makes sense to bet on his upside and intangibles while allowing him to sit and learn behind Smith for the next few seasons. Ewers is also just 22 years old, and his relative youth compared to some of the other prospects in the class give him a distinct edge in that department. 180, Ollie Gordon II, RB Oklahoma State. In a deep running back class, it is not surprising to see a running back like Ollie Gordon available this late in the draft. The Raiders technically do not need a running back as they have some competent options, but it's hard to pass up a talent like this with the 188th overall pick. Gordon is a big boy at 6'1" and 226 pounds and was one of the best power backs in the country last season. He had a relative down year with just 880 yards and 13 touchdowns, but he did so on 190 carries. His best season was in 2023 as he rushed for an incredible 1,732 yards and 21 touchdowns. He added another 39 receptions for 330 yards to show off some of his 3-down versatility. We know that Pete Carroll loves a power back, and Gordon fits that bill perfectly. He is not as explosive as Marshawn Lynch or Kenneth Walker, but he has just enough speed to make him a dangerous home run threat. In any other draft, he would be a 3rd-round pick, and we are lucky he dropped this far in. Our mock. 213, Kaimon Rucker, edge. North Carolina, we return to the defensive side of the ball here and get a dynamic pass rusher that may not have ideal measurables. At 6'1" and 260 pounds, Kaimon Rucker was one of the most productive defensive linemen in college football before a broken fibula derailed his senior season. Rucker had his best season in 2023 with 61 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks, and was on pace to do even better in 2024 before the injury. In 8 games, he racked up 30 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and even recorded an interception and fumble recovery. While he is at his best as an all-out pass rusher, he does have the versatility to play as a stand-up linebacker as, well, the Raiders are building a devastating pass rush unit this offseason, and having a player like Rucker come off the bench to provide some extra spark is a great recipe for success. 215, Kobe King, LB Penn State with the 215th overall pick. We grab a talented linebacker from a school that is known for pumping out talent at that position. Kobe King, out of Penn State, projects as a special teams ace in the short term and a leader of the defense in the long term. King measures in at 61 and 236 pounds and is a solid athlete, as he showed off with a 4. 63, 40, and 26 reps on the bench press that put him in the top 25 for the position. He is a tackling machine with 97 tackles in 16 games last season and projects as an early down Mike linebacker. King's lack of athleticism can leave him exposed in coverage, but the former Penn State star is an elite run defender that is not afraid to lay the wood when challenged by running backs and opposing blockers. 222, Keandre Lambert-Smith, WR Auburn. We wrap up this mock draft by drafting a player with some intriguing physical tools, but not a ton of production to back it. Keandre Lambert-Smith is a talented receiver that measures in at 61 and 190 pounds, and was one of the fastest receivers at the Combine with a 4. 37-40, Lambert-Smith started his career at Penn State, where he put up decent numbers as a depth receiver with 126 catches for 1,721 yards and 11 touchdowns in 48 games. He transferred to Auburn in 2024 and took a leap in both production and status, with 50 catches for 981 yards and 8 touchdowns in 12 games for the Tigers. Scouts rave about Lambert Smith's ability to track the ball downfield and feel that his straight line speed will be an asset to any offense looking to stretch the field. They point out that his route tree is limited, however, and he can struggle against press coverage due to his lean frame. Nevertheless, he has plenty of intriguing traits, and this pick would be a great value late in the 7th round of the draft. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Raider Nation news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Raiders trade pitch adds $180 million. Backup quarterback for Geno Smith in what is one of the more bizarre trade suggestions we've seen for the Las Vegas Raiders this offseason. An analyst pegged them as a landing spot for a high-priced veteran quarterback who is on the trade block. In an article naming possible landing spots for veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins, the Mirror's Daniel Blackman oddly named the Raiders as one of them. The Las Vegas Raiders are still being linked with taking a quarterback in the first round of the upcoming NFL draft, despite having signed Geno Smith to be the starter for this season. Cousins' situation is well known. He was signed to a massive $180 million free agent deal with the Atlanta Falcons last year, but was benched for Michael Penix Jr. after late-season struggles. Now, Cousins is expected to be traded at some point. This trade would have made sense earlier this offseason when the Raiders didn't have a sure starting quarterback. However, the team has since acquired Geno Smith, who was then extended on a 2-year, $75 million deal. And behind Smith, the Raiders have a solid backup in Aiden O'Connell, and the team could turn around and draft another quarterback as a possible successor for the soon-to-be 35-year-old Smith. Knowing all that, it wouldn't make any sense for the Raiders to give up draft capital for Cousins and the rest of his $180 million contract, especially when you consider Cousins might be on the decline after a putrid 2024 campaign. Follow the sporting news on WhatsApp even. If the Raiders were interested in this trade, it takes two to tango, as Cousins has a not-raid clause and isn't likely to waive it for a team that can't offer him a starting role. And now, Raiders fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Raiders. He'll be back any moment with more Raider Nation news.